There comes a moment when you must decide whether your past will be a monument or a tomb. For years you may have been walking with the ashes of yesterday in your hands, calling them memories, calling them lessons, calling them protection. But the truth is simpler and far more dangerous. They are chains, and chains do not decorate, they bind. Imagine standing before an ancient temple, its doors carved with symbols of promise. Inside lies the treasury of your divine wealth, not coins alone, but the abundance of peace, joy, and opportunity. The light inside spills through the cracks of the door like liquid gold. You reach for the key, but it will not turn. The weight in your arms is too heavy. Every regret, every betrayal, every self-accusation you have carried is pressing against the key, keeping it from turning. Ask yourself now, what are you still holding that the divine never told you to carry? Whose words still echo in your mind like unwanted guests? What failure still plays like an unfinished song in your chest? This is not poetic imagination. This is the first barrier between you and the life your soul already owns. The law of non-resistance says this: you do not wrestle the past into submission. You release it into the hands of the infinite. You do not negotiate with old shadows. You step away from them as if they were never yours. The current of divine life flows forward, not backward. When you resist its forward movement, you stand in a pool that grows stagnant. When you release, you are caught in the living river that knows exactly where to carry you. Close your eyes. Picture the chains around your wrists. They are made not of metal, but of stories. Stories you tell yourself to stay safe, to stay prepared, to stay in control. See the divine hand reach toward you. See those stories turn into strands of light that dissolve into nothing. Feel the weight slide from your body until you are so light, you can feel the ground beneath your feet welcome you again. Whisper this into your own soul: I walk free into my divine inheritance. Say it until the words stop feeling like hope and start feeling like truth. Say it until the vibration of those words rearranges the furniture in your mind. Do not be deceived. Letting go is not forgetting. It is sanctifying the past by giving it to the one who understands its every corner. When you do this, the past can no longer poison your present. It becomes a seed planted in divine soil, growing only what is useful for your future. Now, look again at the temple in your mind's eye. The doors are still before you. You lift the key. This time your hands are empty except for the strength the divine placed there. You turn the key. The lock clicks open like a sigh from eternity. Itself, golden light floods toward you, wrapping around your shoulders, whispering that you belong here, not because you have earned it through struggle, but because it is your birthright. The air smells of new beginnings. Your heart beats in rhythm with the unseen orchestra of divine timing. You step forward. The ground beneath you feels like it was waiting for your feet. And yet, even here, you know this is not the full arrival. This is the threshold, a sacred space between what has been and what will be. You are not crossing in to visit, you are crossing in to stay. The choice to let go is not a momentary act. It is a covenant you make with yourself and with the divine. It says, I will not return to the ruins and call them home. It says, I will not hold on to what blocks the wealth of spirit, mind, and body that is already mine. It says, I will walk with open hands so they can be filled. The threshold is a teacher. It teaches that there is no forward without release. It teaches that clinging to the familiar, even when it hurts, is a form of mistrust in the divine plan. And it teaches that when you let go, life rushes in with such precision and beauty that you will wonder why you waited so long. Feel the doorway now, not just in your mind but in your body. Your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, your spine lengthens, as if the very universe is lifting you into alignment. The chains are gone, the key has turned, and the temple of your divine wealth stands open before you. Repeat once more, with quiet authority, I walk free into my divine inheritance. Let the words enter the marrow of your bones. Let them become the melody that carries you into the next step of this sacred journey. Because now, as you stand here, the first law calls to you. Not advice, not suggestion, a sacred decree that shapes everything you will do from this moment on. The law that will guard your steps as you cross from the shadows into the full radiance of your future. You cannot hold on to ashes and expect your hands to open for gold. The divine has woven into the fabric of life a law so unyielding it shapes every chapter of your journey, the law of substitution. This law does not bend, it does not compromise, it whispers in sacred certainty. You cannot grasp the consciousness of abundance while clutching the patterns of lack. Imagine your mind as a divine garden. The Creator has placed within you the power to plant seeds of limitless wealth, radiant joy, and deep peace. But even the richest soil cannot nourish new growth if it is choked by the tangled roots of last season's weeds, the weeds of fear, the weeds of resentment, the weeds of the story you've told yourself 1,000 times about why you cannot have more, until those roots are pulled and surrendered to the divine gardener. No new harvest can rise. Some people spend years watering the same old narrative. They repeat money stories from childhood, words they overheard in worried kitchens, fears they felt in moments of lack, patterns they absorbed without question. They speak these stories to themselves until they become the only truth they know. But the universe is not waiting for you to explain your history. It is waiting for you to release it. Close your eyes and see this with the eyes of the soul. Before you stands a house you have lived in for years. Its walls are cracked. Its roof leaks. Its air smells of stale memories. This is your old consciousness. You reach for the doorknob one last time, but you do not step inside. Instead, you turn, and before you stretches a radiant palace, its gates open, its halls shimmering with promise. The moment you close the door to the old, you begin walking toward the new. Say this aloud with the authority of your divine right. I surrender all that no longer serves my highest wealth and divine purpose. Let the words be more than sound. Feel them loosen the roots of lack inside you. Feel the soil of your mind becoming fertile again. The law of substitution requires choice. It asks you, will you keep turning the pages of a story that drains your spirit, or will you write the new chapter that your soul has been waiting to live? You cannot live both at once. You cannot keep both keys in the same lock. Today, I place before you a sacred challenge. Identify one outdated belief about money, abundance, or your worth. Hold it in your awareness. See it clearly, and then lay it at the altar of divine exchange. Let the law work for you, not against you, as you do. You will notice something shifting, an emptiness forming where the old once lived. Do not fear that space. That space is sacred. That is where the new will be planted. That is where the garden of your divine wealth will take root. And now, as the soil of your spirit clears, we must look deeper beyond the weeds and into the hidden struggle that has kept them alive all these years. Some chains do not rattle, some do not shine in the sun. They live quietly in the chambers of your mind, disguised as memories, beliefs, and unspoken vows. These are the invisible chains, the weight of fear, guilt, and unworthiness that keep the soul anchored to a life it is desperate to leave. Fear whispers that what you lost can never be replaced. It convinces you that stepping forward will only lead to deeper pain. Guilt grips you with the belief that you have not yet earned the right to receive more. And unworthiness weaves its own cruel spell, telling you that the good you dream of belongs to others, not to you. These are not mere emotions, they are spiritual thieves, robbing you in daylight and in darkness, leaving you with hands too full of yesterday to receive the gifts of today. Picture this: a lone traveler moves through an endless desert. The sun burns, the air trembles with heat, but it is not the desert that exhausts them. It is the heavy trunk they carry, bound with thick rope, filled with objects they have not touched in years. Inside are the voices of the past, the failures, the regrets, the betrayals, the moments when hope felt like a lie. Each step sinks deeper into the sand, not because the road is impossible, but because they refuse to let go. This is how many live, dragging the emotional trunk of their history into every new season, and then they wonder why the oasis never appears. The truth is written in the law of mental equivalence. You can only receive what you mentally and emotionally match. If your hands are clinging to what was, you are a perfect match for lack, for repetition, for cycles that lead you back to where you started. The universe mirrors the image you hold within. If that image is bound in the past, the future has no opening to step in. There comes a moment when you must set the trunk down. Not because someone else tells you to, not because the pain suddenly vanishes, but because you realize the cost of carrying it is greater than the cost of release. The desert will not bloom until your arms are free enough to hold the seeds. Close your eyes for a moment and see yourself standing in the center of a vast plain. In one direction stretches a road shadowed and dim, lined with the silhouettes of your old wounds and patterns. In the other direction glows a path, bathed in gold, its light warm, its air fragrant with promise. You feel the pull of both. The shadowed path is familiar, its stones have known your footsteps for years. The golden path is unknown, but your heart beats differently when you look at it. Between the two roads, You feel the weight at your wrists, the invisible chains, and in that awareness, you remember, chains are not always locked. Some dissolve the moment you stop agreeing to wear them. Take a slow breath. Speak these words aloud, not as a wish but as a decree. I release all that binds me to yesterday. My spirit is light and free. Let the sound of your own voice be the key that opens the gate. Feel the links fall away, one by one, until only your true self remains unburdened, standing in the stillness of possibility. Now, ask yourself a question that can break the spell. If my future self had written me a letter, what would they beg me to stop holding on to? Write the answer without judgment. Let the truth flow without polishing it into something beautiful. Your freedom will not come from perfect words, it will come from honest ones. As you write, you may notice resistance. That is the voice of the chains, trying to convince you that they are part of you. But they are not. They are only stories, woven so tightly into your identity that you forgot you had the power to rewrite them. Release is not forgetting. Release is choosing not to live chained to a moment that no longer exists. It is not denial, it is alignment. When you let go, you are not erasing the past. You are reclaiming the present as a sacred place where the seeds of your future can be planted. This is the hidden work of transformation. It is not only about calling in abundance, love, or peace, it is about becoming the vessel that can hold them without leaking. You cannot fill a cup that is already overflowing with yesterday's sorrow. The divine does not withhold from you. It simply honors the law that your outer life will mirror your inner agreement. The traveler in the desert finally reaches a place where the horizon glimmers. They kneel in the sand, unbind the trunk, and open it one last time. They look at each object inside every wound, every lie, every missed chance, and with a deep breath, they leave it there. The wind begins to carry the contents away, scattering them like dust. Their hands are empty now, their back is straight. They turn toward the golden road. And with the first unburdened step, the desert begins to bloom. Your chains may have been invisible, but your freedom will be undeniable. And from this place of release, we can now step into the story of what happens when a soul truly chooses transformation. There is a silence that comes before every sunrise, not an empty silence, but a sacred one. It is the breath the universe takes before it exhales your next chapter. And in that silence, something must die. Not the death of your body, nor the loss of your soul, but the passing away of the self you can no longer afford to be. The self built from fears, from borrowed beliefs, from promises made in the shadows of your own doubt. That self has reached the end of its divine contract. Imagine the phoenix, wings folded in the darkness, feeling the slow burn of surrender in its bones. It does not resist the fire. It does not plead for the ashes to spare it, because it knows its true flight lives on the other side of that burning. This is the law of divine timing in motion. The universe does not send the gold while you are still gripping the dust. Many think blessings are delayed because the clock has not yet struck some mystical hour, but time is rarely the barrier. It is the hands that will not release. You pray for the door to open, yet stand braced against it from the inside. You ask for the harvest, but keep planting seeds of the same old story. The law of divine timing is not about waiting on God, it is about God waiting on you. Not because you are unworthy, but because the field must be cleared before the rain can come. If the old crop is still rotting in the soil, the new seed has nowhere to take root. Close your eyes and see yourself in a vast cathedral, empty but for your own heartbeat. The air is cool and heavy with the scent of incense. In your hand, a single candle flickers, casting long shadows against the stone. The night outside is absolute, yet in the farthest arch, a faint glow appears. It is not the light you create, it is the light that is coming for you. Slowly, the dawn begins to pour through stained glass, spilling rivers of gold and crimson across the floor. It touches your skin, and you feel it. The quiet truth, your surrender has summoned the sun. Every ending is a beginning wearing a disguise. The mind calls it loss, but the soul knows it as preparation. Your past identity, no matter how comfortable, is too small for the wealth, love, and peace that is already assigned to you. Just as the snake must shed its skin or be trapped in its own growth, you must lay down what no longer carries your highest frequency. And this is the hard part. Death before dawn does not come with a calendar date. It arrives when you are ready to stand unguarded in the light. It arrives when you can bless the ashes without begging for the fire to stop. It arrives when you can say with every fiber of your being, I am willing to become unrecognizable to my past self. Do not fear this becoming. What you surrender is only what cannot cross the threshold into your divine future. What you gain is what was always meant for you but could never fit into the old frame of your life. Say these words aloud and let them settle into your bones. My surrender is my seed for divine wealth. Every time I release, I expand my capacity to receive. I trust the timing of the universe because it moves in perfect rhythm with my soul. Now breathe deeply. With your exhale, see yourself placing one old belief, one old identity, one old fear onto the altar in that cathedral. Do not glance back to see if it remains. It will be transformed in ways you cannot yet imagine. The dawn is here to meet you. Step into it, because the death before the dawn is not your ending. It is the sacred proof that you are ready to rise. There is no true loss in the kingdom of the divine. There is only exchange. Every time you release, you are not being emptied, you are being positioned to be filled in a higher way. This is the law of circulation. It is the sacred truth that what you let go of returns to you, transformed, multiplied, and glorified. Yet most hold on, believing that to release is to surrender the last thread of safety. But safety built on fear is not safety at all. It is a cage disguised as shelter. The divine cannot place the overflowing cup of gold in a hand that is clenched tight around yesterday's crumbs. Picture this. Your fist is wrapped around a single stone. You believe this stone is all you have, all you can count on, but in front of you is an open chalice, brimming with gold, so bright it catches the light of eternity. You cannot hold both. You must choose, and when you choose to release the stone, the chalice becomes yours not as a reward, but as a reflection of your willingness to participate in the sacred exchange. The law of circulation is always at work, whether you are aware of it or not. When you release with trust, you set into motion a divine current that carries your offering into the invisible, where it is refined, expanded, and returned in perfect form. If you release in fear, you block the current and cling to what is already fading. The choice is yours. Here is your tool, a release ritual. Write down every fear, every limitation, every thought that whispers, you are not enough. Write them without judgment, without censoring the darkness. Then, take this paper in your hands. Close your eyes and see yourself standing at the foot of a high mountain spring. The water flows pure and cold from the heights, carrying the breath of the heavens. You place the paper into the water and watch the ink dissolve, the words breaking apart until they no longer exist. Or, if you wish the fire's transformation, place that paper into a safe flame and watch the smoke rise upward as the ashes lift. Imagine the divine catching them in open hands. Feel the release. Feel the space you have just made inside yourself. In that space, abundance will come not because you chased it, but because you made room for it. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the divine rushes to fill every space you surrender. Speak this affirmation now and let it echo in your spirit. What I release returns to me multiplied, purified, and glorified. Let every repetition of these words be a loosening of the grip you did not even know you had. Say it as a vow. Say it as a truth already fulfilled. The sacred exchange is not a gamble, it is a law. It is the same law that pulls the tide back to the ocean, that cycles the seasons, that turns the dying seed into a living tree. Nothing you truly need can ever be lost. What is taken from you in love returns to you in light. Now, see it again. You stand at the spring. The water flows clear and endless, and you hold your hands open, palms upward. The current pours into you not just water, but liquid gold, liquid peace, liquid joy. You drink, and you are filled. You cup your hands again, and the flow never stops, because you have learned the secret when you give. When you release, when you trust, the current never ends. If you have been asking for the future to rise, know this: your future is already prepared, already radiant, already written in gold. It waits only for the space you will make when you surrender the remnants of the past. And the moment the old is laid down in faith, the new rises not in chance, but in obedience to spiritual law. Hold this truth as your compass now. Every release is a transaction with heaven. Every surrender is a signature on your covenant with abundance. When you release, you are not losing, you are trading in the temporary for the eternal. And in that exchange, wealth alignment becomes inevitable. Wealth consciousness is not a wish, it is not a passing hope, it is a throne you ascend within. And until you sit there in full certainty, The treasures remain in the invisible vaults of the unseen. The law of the spoken word has been written into the very architecture of creation. From the first, "Let there be light," the universe has moved at the command of the spoken decree. Your words are not idle sounds, they are divine instruments, tuning the unseen orchestra that plays your life into being. When you speak lack, you summon shadows. When you speak abundance, you open gates of gold. Close your eyes. Imagine stepping barefoot onto marble floors polished by centuries of reverence. You walk down a long corridor lined with pillars of light. At the end, a royal hall opens before you, its ceilings higher than the clouds, its air scented with lilies, its walls shimmering with living gold. At the center, a banquet table stretches, beyond sight, laden with fruits, jewels, scrolls of wisdom, and vessels overflowing with liquid light. And there, the divine beckons you forward, not as a beggar, not as a guest, but as an heir. You are seated, crowned, and served without measure. This is not fantasy. This is the reality already written in the unseen for you. But to dine here, you must think and speak as royalty. You must replace every inner murmur of "I can't" with "I already am." Every sigh of "it's too hard" must dissolve into "it is divinely done." Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the tongue is the rudder of your life. Where your words go, your ship follows. If you say, "I am always struggling," the sea rises against you. If you declare, "I am divinely provided for," the winds shift, and the shore of abundance draws near. Your task is not to plead but to proclaim. Repeat after me with full authority. I am an heir to infinite riches. My wealth is a divine certainty. The river of supply flows through me, in perfect circulation. Do not whisper these words as though asking permission. Stand, shoulders back, voice steady. Let each declaration drop into your subconscious like a stone into still water, sending ripples to the edges of your reality. Money is not something to be hunted down like prey. It is drawn to you when you vibrate in harmony with its divine purpose. Chasing implies you are separate from it, but alignment dissolves the chase. You become the magnet, and wealth becomes the willing metal. Every morning, as the sun rises, stand where its first light can touch your skin, face the horizon and declare 3 wealth affirmations aloud, not mechanically, but with the inner fire of someone delivering an unshakable truth to the heavens. Feel the golden light of dawn moving through you, igniting every cell with the memory of your abundance. See coins of light falling into your open hands. Hear the rustle of banknotes in the wind. Smell the fragrance of new beginnings. Let every sense participate in this, knowing the law of the spoken word is not magic in the way the world thinks of magic. It is the science of spirit. Your affirmations are seeds, and the soil is your consciousness. If you speak the words but water them with doubt, they wither. If you speak the words and tend them with faith, they bloom into visible form. Each time you affirm, "I am an heir to infinite riches," you are not making it true. It is already true. You are making it visible. Your declaration calls it out of hiding. Much like a shepherd calls sheep to follow, the wealth is already yours. It has only been waiting for you to speak as its rightful owner. When doubts arise, and they will, do not fight them. Instead, invoke the law of substitution. Replace the thought, "I'm afraid I'll never have enough," with "the universe always oversupplies me." Exchange money is scarce, for money is an ever-flowing river. Every substitution is a shift in vibration, and every shift draws a new reflection from the mirror of life. Remember this, divine wealth is not only for your comfort, but for your contribution. The greater your supply, the greater your ability to bless others. The universe delights in the one who channels abundance freely, knowing it will return multiplied. If you have ever feared wealth, thinking it might corrupt or distance you from spirit, let that fear burn away now. Wealth in divine hands is holy. It builds sanctuaries, feeds the hungry, heals the sick, educates the willing. It is the energy of God, clothed in currency. When you receive it with reverence, you honor its source. Today, begin living as if your wealth is certain, because it is. Pay your bills not with anxiety but with gratitude, as if you are simply circulating divine energy. When you give, imagine sending gold threads into the tapestry of life, knowing they will return to you as an even greater pattern of blessing. One more time, speak these words aloud, each one an arrow of light. I am an heir to infinite riches. My wealth is a divine certainty. All that I give returns to me multiplied, purified, and glorified. Now, let these words become the background music of your days. Let them echo when you walk, when you rest, when you plan, speak them not only with your lips but with your choices, your posture, your generosity. For the moment you embody wealth consciousness, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. From this place of certainty, we now step into the tools that will anchor this consciousness into your daily reality practices that make the invisible visible and the promised already fulfilled. Every dawn is an unmarked page. Every sunrise is a silent decree from heaven that your past is already gone and your future is already alive. The divine has built renewal into the rhythm of life itself. Night will always surrender to day, and endings will always make way for beginnings. But to live in the flow of divine wealth, you must not wait for life to reset you. You must learn to consciously die to the weight of yesterday and rise into the promise of today. This is not a once-in-a-lifetime event. This is the sacred art of daily death and rebirth. It is the discipline of letting go in the evening and opening wide in the morning. It is how the soul remains clear, how the mind remains sharp, and how the heart remains an open channel for the circulation of abundance. Morning alignment practice. When your eyes open, do not reach for your phone, your to-do list, or the echoes of yesterday. Reach instead for the divine. Give 5 sacred minutes to the language of gratitude, not just for what you can see but for what you cannot yet see but know is on its way. Thank the divine for the opportunities not yet revealed, the blessings still in the invisible, the doors that are even now swinging open. Gratitude spoken in the morning is not a mere ritual, it is a wealth magnet. It instructs your subconscious to expect provision. It sets the spiritual tone for your day like a tuning fork that calls forth harmony in every interaction. Say aloud, I am a vessel of divine circulation. Every blessing that comes to me multiplies and flows forward. Evening release, prayer before your head touches the pillow. Close the accounts of the day. Do not carry its disappointments, frictions, or half-finished tasks into the sacred space of sleep. Sleep is a place of creation, and what you take with you will seed your tomorrow. Speak a short yet powerful surrender prayer. Divine Spirit, I release every weight, every worry, every shadow of today into your perfect keeping. I let go of all mental clutter and make room for inspired dreams. I sleep in the security of your provision and rise in the certainty of your abundance. This nightly release is the death that makes room for tomorrow's birth. Without it, yesterday's debris will cloud the light of the new day. Journaling for wealth consciousness. Keep a journal as a treasury of truth. In it, record your daily gratitude, your divine ideas, and any inner nudges toward action. Write as if you are already living in your wealth reality. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the imagination is the divine's sketchpad. It must be filled with images of the desired, not the feared. Example prompts. Today I witness the evidence of my increasing wealth in the divine is currently aligning me with, I now give thanks for. This written dialogue anchors your mind in expectancy. It dissolves fear and strengthens the inner conviction that you are an heir to all that is good. Visualization, sunrise as rebirth at least once each week. Watch the sunrise with deliberate intention as the horizon begins to glow. See yourself stepping into its light clothed in fresh energy. Let each beam of light wash away the residue of the past. Imagine the warmth infusing your body with clarity, courage, and wealth vibration. Whisper, this is my new beginning. My path is lit, my steps are ordered, my storehouses are full. You are not merely watching the sun rise, you are rising with it. Daily affirmation of rebirth. Anchor your renewal with a daily command. Every day I rise, richer in spirit and in form. My past is complete, my present is abundant, my future is certain. Speak it with the authority of one who knows it is already done. This is the law of the spoken word in action. Your tongue is the key that opens unseen gates. Why these tools work. Each of these practices, morning gratitude, evening release, journaling, sunrise, visualization, and daily affirmations forms a cycle of spiritual circulation. You receive, you give thanks, you release, you realign. Just as the body needs breath in and breath out, your spiritual life needs inflow and outflow. Holding on too tightly to yesterday interrupts this divine rhythm. By consciously practicing daily death and rebirth, you dissolve the past before it hardens into limitation, and you rise into each day as a pure channel for divine wealth. This is how wealth becomes not a goal you chase, but a current you live within. Transition into closing transformation. And so, beloved soul, when the past is dissolved daily and the future is welcomed daily, There comes a moment when you realize you have been living inside your rebirth all along. You are not waiting for wealth to arrive. You are walking in it, breathing in it, speaking from it. The closing chapter of this journey will not be an ending, it will be the sealing of your covenant with the divine, where your life itself becomes the testimony of abundance. Without limit, stand with the fullness of your being. Let your spine rise like the pillar of a temple. Place your hand upon your heart and feel the pulse of eternal life moving through you. In this moment, you are not the person who entered this journey. The shadows that once bound you have dissolved into the light of a greater truth. The chains of lack, fear, and unworthiness have fallen to the ground, never to be lifted again. You have crossed the silent gate of destiny. You have stepped into the royal court of your divine inheritance. Close your eyes and see it. Gold light pouring over you like a waterfall of heaven's promise. Each ray of light is a decree from the divine saying, you are supplied, you are chosen, you are loved. The path before you stretches into a garden of limitless provision, and you walk it with unshakable grace. Your soul's compass now points only toward abundance, joy, and holy certainty. The weight you once carried has turned into the wings that now lift you. Now, speak with the power of the tongue. For what you declare is law in the invisible realm. Repeat these words with authority, with reverence, and with unbreakable faith. I have died to the past. I have risen into my divine wealth. I walk in the light of infinite supply. Again, slower, letting each word etch itself into the walls of your subconscious. I have died to the past. I have risen into my divine wealth. I walk in the light of infinite supply. Feel the vibration of these words radiate through your entire being. Every cell remembers, every thought aligns, every step you take from this day forward carries the seal of this declaration. You are no longer reaching for abundance. You have become abundance in motion. Your presence is a signal to the universe, a living affirmation that wealth is your divine certainty. See yourself walking now through the great gates of divine abundance. They swing open without resistance, for they recognize their air. The air on the other side is sweeter, lighter, alive with promise. You walk clothed in light so pure, it reflects the majesty of the one who sent you. Your eyes no longer search for proof, for you have become the proof. This is not the end. It is the dawn of a new way of being. Each sunrise will greet you as a richer soul. Each sunset will wrap you in the peace of provision fulfilled. You will speak only words that multiply life. You will move only in ways that honor your royal nature. You will think only thoughts that harmonize with the divine orchestra of supply. Let this be your vow before heaven and earth. Let it be written in the eternal record of your soul. You are reborn in wealth, wrapped in light, crowned in grace, and so it is.